This word, titiksha, it means forbearance, it means patience. Shankaracharya in his Vivek Chudamani says, remember, this is for whom? A spiritual aspirant, for a spiritual seeker. It's a very great quality, a profound quality to be cultivated. I was just thinking about it. So many thoughts came to my mind. I was in the library at Bryant Park. So I was sitting and thinking about this and studying this. And Shankaracharya says, Sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam. Chinta vilapa rahitam satitiksha nigadyati in Vivek Chudamani. What is this forbearance? He defines it. What do you have to do? All kinds of miseries. Forbearing pleasure, everybody can do. I'm just putting up with a lot of pleasure. No. It's the unpleasant side of life which disturbs us, which makes us restless. Forbear. There's a reason for that. There's a spiritual reason for that. Putting up with all of that without desperately trying to remedy situation. Always remember common sense. That is taken for granted. If I'm very sick, I need to go to a doctor and take the medicines. But after that, there will be a period when I have to put up with unpleasantness. Unpleasant medicine, unpleasant treatment, and unpleasant pain. So, put up with that. And how do you put up? With a scowl? No. Chinta vilaparahitam. Without complaining, without anxiety. Be relaxed about it. Let it be. Let it come, let it be, let it go. You be relaxed about it. This is called titiksha. Sri Ramakrishna considered it one of the greatest qualities. He called it in Bengali shodhyo kara. To forbear in life, whatever happens in life, in relationships, monetary, financially, health-wise, do what you have to do. Be active. Remedy the situation, but don't be anxious and don't give it thought. Don't dwell upon it. Don't regret it. Don't agonize over it. Why will you not agonize over it? Because it is impermanent. They come and go. Then how do you treat impermanent things? Welcome, stay, goodbye. Neither resist nor cling. Neither resist nor cling to impermanent things. It does no good. That which is to come will come. That which is to go will go. Again, always. So I don't have to go to the doctor. I don't have to take medical treatment. No, of course not. You have to do whatever. And you see, Sri Ramakrishna would say, in Bengali, there's the letter Sha. There are three of them, and they are all pronounced in the same way. In Sanskrit, Sa, Sha, Sha. In Bengali, they pronounce it Sha, Sha, Sha. All of them are the same pronunciation. But one meaning of that is forbearing. In Hindi, what you call sahana, sahan shakti, that means to forbear. So three letters, and they all are pronounced in a particular way, and they all mean also there's a second meaning to it, that is forbearance. So he would say that. He would make a pun on it. It makes sense in Bengali, not in other languages. The pun goes like this. Sha, 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 je shai, she rai, je na shai, tar na shai. Literally translated, without any of the pun effects, special effects. It means forbear, forbear, forbear. Patience, patience, patience. The one who forbears will last. The one who does not forbear will be destroyed. I was reading a book on the Buddha's teachings, on Buddhist book. One of the greatest qualities which Buddha praised was patience. Shantideva in the Bodhicharya Avatara, a very well-known Mahayana text, he says the root, love, compassion, patience. Love and compassion are less important than patience, he says. When you have patience, love and compassion will come of themselves. I mean, there's a lot of research being done right now. There's a psychologist, Jonathan Haidt, Haidt. He's very well known in the United States. One of the things he did was, the experiment was an experiment in compassion. So two groups of students. They were one group was asked to read something. They were in the Harvard Divinity School or another divinity school, maybe Princeton Divinity School, somewhere. So they were told that you have to read this section and prepare a sermon on it and go there and you have to deliver the sermon. Of course, that's not really what's going to happen. One group was given the story of the Good Samaritan who helps people on the wayside. So they prepared it and they walked across the lawn to the other building where they were supposed to give the sermon. Of course, there was nobody there. When you go across there, there'll be somebody to tell you the experiment is over, go home. What was there was on a bench in that lawn was somebody pretending to have a stomach ache. As that person, the seminarian, would walk past, all engrossed and trying to remember the points he has written for the talk on compassion. This person would sort of, collapse in pain and sort of groan and moan and collapse like this. Now the aim was to see how many stopped and out of concern, how many asked if they could do something. Almost nobody did. They were too busy about the talk they were going to give. Some did. And it did not make a difference what story they had read, whether it was a story about compassion or some other story, other parable. So the result of the experiment was, it's not so much knowledge that you have to be compassionate that makes you compassionate. Rather, it is that calmness and slowness and quietness where you pay attention to somebody else that makes you compassionate. If you notice the suffering of another person, that was the conclusion. If you notice the suffering of another person, in most cases we have as human beings, they call it mirror neurons and so on. So we are built for sympathy. So that's why they say that sometimes in places where life is slower, in villages and smaller towns, people are more compassionate. It also could be that people know each other. Whereas when life is very fast, classic example, of course, Manhattan, there's no time to be compassionate. People are so engrossed in their own minds and their own anxieties, they don't notice what's going on both sides. So patience. Yeah.
So I had a couple of questions about patience.
Yes.
One is that there is some literature in psychology which says that bottling up your feelings or suppressing your unpleasant reactions can be detrimental in the long term. So what are your views or Vedanta's views on that? That is one. And the other one is, it makes sense to think about patience in these terms when thinking about an illness or something, or some misfortune that you cannot attribute to somebody else. But sometimes people, how would patience be a virtue when it is versus an adversary or somebody who's being unjust or against injustice in general?
Right. So that's exactly where patience comes into play. The Buddhist book I was reading made an important point. Patience does not mean taking things slow or letting things happen to you. Patience means not being defeated. Adverse circumstances, people who are treating you badly, people or a health problem or a financial problem, whatever. Don't admit defeat. That is a sign of patience. Not to collapse and say, I'm being patient, let whatever is going to happen, it'll just going to happen. No. To retain energy, to be up and doing, calmly, to get back into, to shake up the dust yourself off, get back into the struggle, calmly, without reacting. So, without reacting does not mean you will not do anything. You will do what is necessary. That's what I'm trying to answer your question. So, for example, you said bottling up feelings. Now, bottling up feelings is not good. Repression is not good. But channeling feelings is very good. Reaction means something happens and I react immediately to it. Somebody says something nasty, I said something nasty back to that person. That's a reaction. But I don't say anything. I try to engage with that person constructively or ignore him and go about my business. That will not harm. That's better. That's much better. Immediate reaction is what is to be avoided. The way Swami Vivekananda defined patience, very interesting. he defined, he would always define in a positive way. Now, this is the answer to your question. Anything he would define in a positive way. For example, humility. We think humility means being low and accepting and being humble. You know what is Swami Vivekananda's definition of humility? He said, humility does not consist in being a doormat. Humility means seeing the greatness in the other person. Seeing good and greatness in other person, that is being humble. How did he define patience? He talked about patience, for him was strength. Not in terms of patience, it's strength. And what is strength? Not to thrash the other person. He says strength is to stop reaction. What a deep definition of strength. It's easy to fidget. It takes strength to sit still. It's easy to reply immediately. It takes strength to hold back. It's easy to think badly of others or become anxious about a particular situation. A worrisome situation has emerged. Immediately anxiety. That anxiety does nothing except create heart disease. That anxiety does nothing. It only creates harm. It's a weakness of the mind. The mind is an instrument. It just churns away helplessly in anxiety. I will not be anxious. I will do what is to be done. I will think what is to be thought. I will say what is to be said. But no, I will not entertain anxiety or stress. No. To whatever extent possible. That not reacting, physical level, verbal level, mental level, he says that is strength. And that strength he defines as patience. That's a very good idea actually. He says when you drive a chariot, to let the horses run amok, is that strength? Or to hold the reins and pull back the horses and guide it along a particular direction, is that strength? It's more strength to hold back and then guide it. To gain mastery of the body, of the speech, and of the thoughts in the mind, that is strength. And that strength and patience it will be manifested as patience. All the great men, they might seem impatient because they are very energetic. But being energetic and impatient are two different things. Tremendous energy, but continuous, the patience to apply that energy in a particular chosen direction, that leads to greatness. I remember a beautiful song by Kabir Das. Some of you may have heard it. I'll tell you this. I looked it up actually. I remembered it today, then I looked it up. I'd heard it many years ago. Man lago yar fakiri mein. Some of you may have heard this. Oh my mind, be attached or take to the monastic life, the ascetic life, the simple life. My mind has fallen in love with the simple life. My mind has fallen in love with the free life. A fakir is an unattached, like an ascetic, a lover of God and not attached to anything in the world. Oh my mind, he calls his mind his friend. Oh my mind, my buddy. Fall in love with the free life. Fall in love with the simple life. Jo sukh paave Ram bhajan mein, so sukh nahi amiri mein. The joy, the bliss that you get in repeating the name of the Lord Rama, it is your mantra, the name of God, the chanting the name of God. That joy is not there in being wealthy and powerful. Man lago yar fakiri mein. Oh my mind, take to the free life. Take to the holy life. Bhala bura sabka sun lije. Kar gujran garibi mein. Listen to all the good and bad which the world throws at you. See, contact with the senses generates pleasure and pain, heat and cold. Not only heat and cold, pleasure and pain, it generates honor and dishonor, success and failure, hope and despair. Be serene thou in all of this. Good and bad the world throws at you. Live the humble life. Literally, garibi means, kar gujran garibi mein means the poor life. Poor, this is a very beautiful Christian phrase, poor in spirit. Poor in spirit means not with a broken spirit, no. It means low and quiet and humble. But why I'm telling you this, the end of this song is very beautiful. At the end, he says, आखिर ये तन खाक मिलेगा, काहे फिरत मगरूरी में. Very touching. Towards the last refrain of the last quarter of the song, it says, very soon this body will pass away into the dust. It will merge into dust, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. If you're a Hindu, the body will be burned and this much ashes will be left. I have literally seen, because we have a tradition of cremating the monks who have passed away. And so I've seen this much dust, this much ashes. It's put in a little bowl and then a little earthen pot and then floated on the Ganges, on the Ganga, which is next to the monastery. That's what remains. Or if you're buried, the body decomposes back into the earth. Dust to dust. Why do you go around with so much ego? आखिर ये तन खाक मिलेगा, काहे फिरत मगरूरी में. Why walk around the earth with so much ego? In a blink of an eye, you'll be gone, back to dust. Where is this ego coming from? And then Kabir concludes. He says, Kahat Kabir, the usual way, Suno bhai sadho, O spiritual seekers, O seekers of God, listen to what Kabir says. Saheb mile Saburi mein. The Lord my God is attained through patience. Saburi, the word means contentment, means patience. Sabr means to be patient. Hold on, hold on, hold on.